Hello there, this is David from David Books and Comics. Today I want to talk about this character. His name is Hero, or Chinese Hero, in Chinese called Hua. And this is a manhua series called The Blood Sword that was published in the West in 1988, in the 1980s, by a company called Jademan Comics. Jademan Comics is owned by one of the most prolific and most famous manhwa creators in Hong Kong, a guy named Tony Wong. Now, Tony Wong is also famous for creating a group of characters called the Little Rascals. And they were a kind of an ultra-violent, they were an ultra-violent series of Chinese comic books published in Hong Kong. And eventually their name and their violence was changed. And eventually they were called the Oriental Heroes. Now I do have the Jademan issues, many of the Jademan issues of the Oriental Heroes series that was published here in the West. So this is the first issue, the third issue. I don't have number 1 and 2, but the third issue of The Blood Sword. And this one published in 1988. The story, as it says here, so far, is in a heated battle, Hero kills Tall Fury, and he's one of the villains, with a single blow. The remaining Furies pursue Hero into the Forest of Death, where he collapses, only to be helped by Sanglo. Sanglo is another one of these supporting characters in the story. Recovering from his wounds, Hero discovers the swordsman Camo wielding the blood sword, which was what he was after, against Ghost Server. Ghost Server is another of the lead protagonists. Camo, who's actually a supporting character, offered to return the sword only if Hero can defeat him in battle, and that's where we're left off. The first issue features the origin of Hero. And what happens is this gang leader shows up at their family home and tries to steal the family's heirloom, which is the blood sword. And the blood sword is a MacGuffin that appears throughout the entire run, 53 issue of this story. And eventually the gang lord kills both his parents and humiliates them, and eventually escapes with the blood sword, which leads our hero to give chase to recover the sword. And here you have the Camo, who's the one who's offering to battle Hero for the possession of the blood sword. He has to demonstrate that he's worthy of the sword, basically. So as you can see, action, especially the esoteric moves of martial arts action, is the showcase of the stories. So you have like the naming of a particular martial arts skill, bone-piercing winter chill, this one's called, which is featured in almost all of the Jademan martial arts books, which is what I have most of. So here's another one, Scorpion Rattles Tail. So the stories basically use the tropes of wuxia, or martial arts fiction, which also has these esoteric names for these different unique and mysterious skills. Here's another one where Hero observes how his mother used her sword skills. And here you have the blood sword making its appearance. and another the ghost server, who has this disfigured face. And eventually the villains start to show up, and the other supporting characters kind of show their true colors and eventually um, support our heroes, Ghost Server and Hero. So there you go. So all of the stories revolves around the action, and here you have the faded panels to indicate flashback in the rounded corners, atypical of the comic book. The creation of these books was not easy, and it is done in the Western style, which reads from left to right. But the initial books where this art was drawn and from left or right to left, and would start basically on the back page. If you watched my previous episode on Lady Snowblood, you would have seen how that story was published in the Asian style. And here you have the origin of Ghost Server. Basically a person that was saved by Camo and trained in the martial arts in how to use his legs and his cue as a weapon, as you can see in these panels. All right, so that's how the stories are, in my view, beautifully drawn. The art is amazing. In the later issues, which I'll show, you'll see that his artwork became a bit more sophisticated. That's Ma Wing Shing. He's the artist. So this is issue number 3. This is issue number 5. And it features this character, who is called simply Dracula. And the Dracula character, we'll see later on. There's Hero, and there's Ghost Server. The Dracula character is drawn in a style that reminds you of Gene Colan's run on Tomb of Dracula. Dracula here is a super martial arts expert who has this esoteric kind of mysterious style. Here's another one of the lead supporting characters. His name is Monk. He's kind of a mysterious character who just stands in the background and intervenes when all else seems lost. So there's Dracula making his entrance and using Sanglo, who has some expertise in martial arts, is using his palm power. Fathomless Palm, it's called. Palm power. And he's fighting against Dracula. And there is the White Dragon Devils into Water move. So typical of wuxia martial arts fiction, the movements have these special kind of titles. Here you have a good image of the blood sword. And this is a picture of the old flag, I think, of Taiwan. Yes, I believe now they have their own flag, a different flag anyway. So here he's using his Q against Schemer. And this is another kind of mysterious character in the stories. His name is Sea God. And she is another of these supporting characters. Typical of wuxia fiction or martial arts fiction, there is just one thing right after another. I mean, it's just a constantly quick-flowing plot. At times, you could say it's hard to follow. Anyway, so that's number 5. This is number 6. We can do a flip through that. And there's a nice picture of Ghost Server. Beautiful splash pages. The coloring and the inking and is not done by one person. The art is done by Ma Wing Shing, but the inking and the coloring are done by multiple people. So as I was hinting at, and this is where Ghost Server gets his mask, the mask he currently wears with those brilliant designs. And this is where they try to leave the island. And the Furies show up. That's the people who kind of run the mine on the island and try to keep them there, keep them on the island. And then what happens but an ensuing battle. So everything is focused on action, as you can see. And this is where Hero tries to leave the island. And as he's leaving, the girl who falls in love with him just cries her eyes out. It's beautiful use of shading and coloring. And this is where Hero fights with a shark. Again, it showcases how incredibly quick-paced the story is and how amazing the artwork is. Alright, so that's that. So that's Blood Sword. And it features a short story called A Date with the Devil. It's a well-written, well-drawn story, actually. And I think this is a later, this is what Ma Wing Shing drew like. So there is Blood Sword, number 6. And you see, this is Oriental Heroes. And this is the characters that Tony Wong created. This is another series that they had, Drunken Fist, also a martial arts series. And there's The Force of Buddha's Palm, which is a historical martial arts series, which I have a few issues of. All right, so that's number 6. And this is number 7. And again, the coloring is quite amazing. So that's number 7. You can do a flip through that. And this basically continues from where we left off, with him fighting the orca. And there is Sea God, who intervenes, kind of, he's the island's protector. He constantly intervenes in the story. There's Monk, another one of the lead characters. And there's Hero with his blood sword. And they're forced, basically their boat is forced back onto the island. And there's Sanglo being forced to fight. And being rescued. So Jademan Comics, your passport to a magic realm of sizzling kung fu action. Gives you a sense of what they were all about. Ma Wing Shing is famous here in the West for his work on this and on another series called Storm Riders, which was eventually published by a company called Comics One. And Comics One is the new name for the Jademan comics that came out in the 1990s, late 1990s. And they published Storm Riders, which was created by this artist, Ma Wing Shing, and another series based on a novel by Louis Cha Jin Yong called Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. And I have a few issues of that, which I'll show in a later episode. So as you can see, these are long. They're 64 pages long. And lots of detail in the artwork. Like I said, there was more than one inker, so it did the work in the art, and more than one colorist. So there's the letters page. And featuring events that'll happen in the next issue. Hero, Ghost Server, and Sanglo and Ken leave the island, but not before the killer whale has killed both of Ken's parents. The trio drifts through the ocean before being picked up by an ocean liner en route to Chicago. The foursome immediately find themselves embroiled in a dispute between two rival gangs seeking to control Chicago's lucrative drug and gambling markets. So there you go. Typical of martial arts novels is the trope of constant continuity of plot. It's just one surprise after another. So that's number 7. This is number 8. And you can see there the beautiful interior artwork. This one came out in March 1989. I would assume or guess, and this is one of the things about the comic books, they don't really delve into the history or setting of the story. But by the look of the dress, you'd have to guess that it would be the late 1800s and maybe turn of the century. 1920s, maybe 30s, something like that. There you go. So just so you see, beautiful, fast-paced artwork. Featuring all kinds of different characters. All right, so we'll finish the flip through and then go to the next. We'll just go through the covers of the next issues. All right, so that's that. And then another short story, The Devil's Market. Very graphic. Oh my God. Very graphic. All right, so that's that one. So that's number 8. And then we'll just do, this is number 9. That's number 10. That's number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14. Number 15. Number 16. Number 17. Just move that aside. Number 18 or 19. And that's where I don't have the entire run. I imagine the later issues are not as common as the earlier issues. Anyway, number 19. And this is number 37. Let's move that aside. Let's take the glare off here. So that's number 37. Number 43. And we'll take a gander through number 51. Just to show you the change and development of Ma Wing Shing's artwork. And you can see, in my view, that his artwork has become more detailed in the fine details of faces. The drawing is is sharper in terms of the line work. It's not as thick. And the artwork has a level of sophistication that you didn't see in the earlier issues. Just so you know, this one, I believe, 60, yeah, it is a long, so it's about 50, 60, yeah, 61 pages. There was another series, which I'll show a couple of issues of, called Blood Sword Dynasty, which carries on the legend of the Blood Sword. So this is part 2. You can tell by there's more character, there's more detail in art, almost like semi-photographic in conveying the detail. Alright, so that's gives you a sense of what the series is like. Heavy, as always, heavy on the action. So Ma Wing Shing, as I said, created this series initially, and then went on to create Storm Riders, and did the artwork for Heaven Sword, Dragon Saber, based on the novel by Louis Cha. Alright, so subscription, okay. So that's the Force of Buddhist Palm. So I have a few of those, which I can show at a later episode. So number 51. And this is number 48. And this is number 46. Sorry, 46. All right. And I wanted to show this. So this came out in 1990s, I think, late 90s. And it's called A Man Called Hero. It's basically follows and introduces all the characters that you have in the Bloodsword series. This is, it says right here, Aiken Cheng. And it features early appearances by the Hong Kong actor Nick Tse and the actress, Chinese actress Shu Qi. All right, so that's that. And again, the sword is a kind of mysterious MacGuffin in the series. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this look at a Bloodsword. Oh, and these are the Bloodsword Dynasty books. I'll show those. And they're not as numerous in terms of pages. So they're only like 37, 38 pages long. Still longer than most. You can tell by the artwork, also by Ma Wing Shing, that it has a little more detail and sophistication. All right, so let's take the glare just so you see. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll put a link to the other videos on one on the one-armed swordsman video, and the other one on the previous video I did on martial arts fiction. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll see the one video here, the subscription button right here on this side, and then I'll link another video over here. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did, remember to do the like and the subscription button. You can subscribe, and thanks for watching. Okay, bye.